This is New Jersey. You can't tell by looking at this map, but somewhere within the Garden State's borders lies an invisible yet influential line. You won't find this line on a map, but it's there, silently dividing the state into two halves, North Jersey and South Jersey, and the split runs deeper than most realize. One half aligns itself with New York City, the other leans into Philadelphia. This divide becomes prominent when it comes to sports. Head north, and you'll find loyalty for the Yankees, Giants, Jets, and much more. Go south, and it's a completely different world revolving around Philadelphia's beloved franchises. It's the same state, but two completely different sports universes. Yet something strange happens here. Despite being America's most densely populated state, along with having a passionate sports culture, New Jersey struggles to rally around any teams it can truly call its own. While smaller states and even smaller cities proudly support teams that carry their name, New Jersey remains relatively absent from the professional sports map. How on earth does a state with nearly 10 million people, right in the heart of the sports-obsessed Northeast, end up without a sports identity to call its own? The answer isn't just about who people root for. It's a story shaped by invisible borders, fragmented cities, and a history that pulled the state into two different directions before the modern sports world even existed. To grasp just how unusual New Jersey's sports landscape really is, let's paint a picture. The state is home to two NFL franchises, the Giants and the Jets, both of which play their home games at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford. Yet, neither team claims New Jersey in name or identity. They brand themselves entirely around New York City. The same goes for the New York Red Bulls of Major League Soccer, who also play in New Jersey but are marketed to a New York audience. And when the NBA's Nets left New Jersey for Brooklyn in 2012, it wasn't just for a change of scenery, it was a strategic rebranding. For a team that had long struggled to connect with a fractured fanbase, aligning with a larger market was the logical next step. Only the NHL's New Jersey Devils currently represent the state by name, and while they've built a passionate fanbase and have enjoyed championship success, their support remains largely concentrated in the north. In South Jersey, hockey allegiance leans heavily towards the Philadelphia Flyers, whose orange and black are everywhere from car decals to barroom TVs. Rather than serving as a rallying point, the Devils have become yet another reflection of New Jersey's divided loyalties. The result is a state full of fans, but few teams they can truly call their own. So how on earth did it end up this way? Well, the biggest impediment is not having its own major city. New Jersey's unusual sports landscape didn't just appear overnight. Long before there was a north and south sports divide, the colony itself was actually split vertically into East Jersey and West Jersey. East Jersey aligned culturally and economically with New York City, shaped heavily by British and Dutch settlers who relied on Manhattan as their commercial hub. Meanwhile, West Jersey fell naturally into Philadelphia's orbit, with Quaker settlers from Pennsylvania driving local agriculture and trade towards the city instead. This division persisted as the United States grew. Even Benjamin Franklin famously described New Jersey as a barrel tapped at both ends, highlighting how the state's economic life was continuously drained by its neighbors to the north and the south. You see, at the time, New Jersey's economy was primarily agrarian, built on farming instead of industry. With plenty of open farmland to support the population, there was very little demand for large urban centers. As a result, no singular city emerged to anchor the state. Instead, towns developed as convenient stops along trade routes linking New York City and Philadelphia. This resulted in New Jersey's communities becoming economic satellites, supporting their powerful neighbors rather than competing with them. Even as America rapidly industrialized in the 19th century, New Jersey's decentralized growth persisted. The rise of railroads only deepened the state's role as a corridor connecting major metropolitan hubs, which reinforced a scattered network of small cities and towns. That fractured geography didn't just remain a relic of the colonial era, it deepened in the decades that followed. As New Jersey entered the industrial age, other cities along the East Coast, like Boston, Baltimore, and Philadelphia, grew into powerful centralized hubs that could support large populations, robust economies, and eventually, professional sports franchises. But New Jersey went in the opposite direction. This is where the term Boroughitis comes in. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the state experienced a wave of hyper-localization. Fueled by political disputes, tax disagreements, and desires for local control, dozens of towns splintered off from larger municipalities to form independent boroughs. In 1894 alone, 38 new boroughs were incorporated. What might have been opportunities to develop cohesive cities, instead became a patchwork of small, self-governing communities, each too small to support any kind of population density, infrastructure, or cultural weight needed to sustain a metropolitan city. This phenomenon had long-lasting effects. Without a centralized urban anchor, New Jersey never cultivated the kind of cultural or economic gravity that cities like Philadelphia and New York used to build sports legacies. Boroughitis may sound like a bureaucratic quirk, but it helped ensure that the barrel would continue to drain at both ends. This dilemma only got worse in the 20th century. As the United States underwent a post-war suburban boom, New Jersey became one of the country's most suburbanized states. Highways that carved through the state like the Garden State Parkway and the New Jersey Turnpike allowed commuters easy access to jobs in New York City and Philadelphia, all while letting them settle into quiet residential towns far away from any traditional city center. Hold on though. If you're familiar with New Jersey, you're probably thinking about Newark, the state's largest city. Unfortunately though, it never quite became the major urban anchor New Jersey needed. After World War II, its population surged and the city showed real potential, surrounded by expanding suburbs and growing infrastructure. But Newark's proximity to Manhattan made it difficult to form a distinct identity. Economically and culturally, it remained in New York's shadow, functioning less as an independent metropolis and more like a satellite city. As the decades progressed, this gravitational pull only intensified. The post-war suburban boom saw New Jersey's population spread outward into sprawling residential enclaves. So naturally, the development of these towns around major hubs like Philadelphia and New York City only reinforced the cultural influence these population centers had across state borders. And sports was one of the biggest indicators. Unlike cities where a single team could unify an entire region, New Jersey's dispersed population meant fans gravitated towards the teams they saw on local TV, heard on the radio, or passed by on their daily commute. And unfortunately, New Jersey didn't have one of their own to bind its residents together. Even the supposed middle ground, Central Jersey, does very little to bridge the gap. Its boundaries are fuzzy at best, with locals often debating whether it even exists. Some argue that Central Jersey is its own distinct region, separate from both the North and the South, while others claim it's just a blurred overlap of the two. If you're from this area, let me know in the comments section below where you think Central Jersey is, or if you suspect it doesn't even exist. Because when it comes to sports, this area offers no clarity, which only amplifies the confusion. Over time, this physical and cultural sprawl hardened into something more permanent. Urban planning didn't just dictate how people moved. It began shaping how they lived, what they consumed, and ultimately, who they rooted for. A kid growing up in Newark would see the Yankees on TV, pass MetLife Stadium on the Turnpike, and be surrounded by Giants and Jets gear in every store. Just 100 miles south, another kid might see Flyers flags in front yards, hear Eagles coverage on the radio, and count down to Phillies opening day. This is where New Jersey's sports identity crisis becomes impossible to ignore. The state sits between two of some of the most powerful sports markets in the country. Both New York and Philadelphia have deep-rooted fan bases, historic franchises, and massive cultural influence. Their reach extends far beyond city limits, and New Jersey falls squarely within that overlap. In a place already fragmented by history and development, the presence of these dominant sports cultures leaves little room for a unified identity to take hold. While the Devils remain New Jersey's lone major pro team in name, they're the exception and not the rule. And even their reach is regional. The rest of the state's role in professional sports is defined less by identity and more by utility. The Giants, Jets, and Red Bulls may all play in New Jersey, but their branding, operations, and fan engagement are tailored almost entirely to New York. And in South Jersey, the situation is just as telling. The Flyers and 76ers both base their practice facilities across the river, taking advantage of the space and convenience, but their allegiance and fanbase remains firmly rooted in Philadelphia. New Jersey offers the real estate and often the financial incentives to attract teams, but the cultural rewards flow elsewhere. So across all leagues, the story is the same. New Jersey serves as the home turf, but not the hometown. The state is where teams go to build stadiums, but not to build identity. Whether it's branding, fan culture, or economic impact, New Jersey largely plays second fiddle to its neighbors. It's simply a host without a headline. One of the most telling examples came in 2014, when MetLife Stadium hosted Super Bowl 48. It was the first Super Bowl ever held outdoors in a cold weather climate, and it took place entirely in New Jersey. But everything about the branding, including ads, signage, and TV coverage, portrayed it as the New York Super Bowl. The skyline shots were almost entirely of Manhattan. New Jersey built the venue, managed the infrastructure, and dealt with the logistics, but the attention stayed across the river. Some might say it's only natural, given East Rutherford's place within the New York metro area, but the spotlight made it clear what was meant to be seen and what was meant to be ignored. That's the paradox at the heart of New Jersey's sports story. The state is constantly hosting the game, but rarely claiming ownership. And while this arrangement might seem like a practical compromise, it does come at a cost. Just like what Benjamin Franklin alluded to, the state continues to provide the foundation while the recognition and identity flow outward to its neighbors. Structurally, there's little to suggest that this issue will change anytime soon. Despite its dense population, wealth, and established fan culture, New Jersey remains absent from any major league expansion discussions. No matter the league, the state is rarely considered a viable home for new franchises. That's not due to lack of support or infrastructure. The challenge is branding. Leagues and owners look for markets with distinct identities, places where a team can plant a flag, build a loyal fan base, and sell a name that stands on its own. New Jersey's split geography makes that difficult. A team based here would still need to align with either New York or Philadelphia, or risk getting caught in the middle. This isn't just a lingering side effect of history, it's a built-in feature of how New Jersey functions. And sometimes, that divide shows up in places you wouldn't expect, like a football team visiting the White House. At the end of April, the Philadelphia Eagles made their championship visit, except one thing stood out. Quarterback Jalen Hurts didn't attend. That single detail turned into 275 different headlines, each one slightly different depending on who was reporting. On the left, CNN ran with "Jalen Hurts misses Eagles White House celebrations while Trump throws shade at Taylor Swift." And on the right, Fox News wrote, "Eagles Jalen Hurts skipping Trump visit as teammate spends time with him at golf course." Same facts, different stories. One says he missed it, the other says he skipped it. One talks about Trump and Taylor Swift, the other about loyalty and optics. If you're only seeing one version, you're only getting half the picture. That brings us to today's sponsor, Ground News, a website and app built to help you see the full picture when it comes to current events. Instead of being stuck in one perspective or bouncing between different tabs, Ground News lets you compare how news outlets from across the political spectrum are covering the same story, side by side. You'll see exactly how many outlets are reporting it, where they fall on the bias scale, how factual their reporting tends to be, and even who owns the outlet. For example, for the Jalen Hurts story, I was able to see over 250 headlines and instantly spot how different sources emphasize different angles. Sometimes it was subtle, and sometimes it wasn't. Either way, you start to notice patterns. Who uses emotional language? Who leaves details out? Who reframes the same event entirely? What I find most useful is the factuality ratings. Each outlet is rated on how reliably it sticks to verified facts, so when a headline catches your eye, you can quickly see whether it's coming from a high-quality source or one with a more questionable track record. It's a simple feature, but it's helped me avoid wasting time on sensationalized stories. If you're serious about thinking critically or just want to stay informed without falling into the same echo chamber day after day, I genuinely recommend giving Ground News a try. And right now, they're offering 40% off their Premium Vantage subscription, which is what I use to get unlimited access to all their features. But you can only get that through my link. Go to groundnews.com/Mapify, scan the QR code on screen, or click the link in the video description today to sign up, and support the platform that's working to make the media landscape more transparent. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.